Welcome back. We appreciate you spending some time with us here on the Roundtable program. Jim Zeringer from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, its director, also Ohio EPA Director Scott Nally joining us here on the Roundtable talking about the health of Lake Erie. I call it the wounded water out there. And also Maumee, the Maumee River, the tributaries that dump in there. We forgot to mention at the onset, Sandusky River also dumping into the Maumee River. I wanted to talk a little bit about the work that's going on away from the bay and areas right there that stretch along the coastline. The Healthy Lake Erie Fund, which it's trying to, as you were talking about, Jim, a little bit in our last segment, talking about these farm fields and having to put forth a plan to make sure that what they're doing, their runoff, is in better shape than it's ever been before. Not so much in better shape, but maybe the levels are less. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, the last thing any farmer wants to do is have his nutrients, whether it be commercial fertilizers or manure, go down a river.
Talk about what we're seeing right here. Some of the work that's being done, some of the land, the piping that's being put on these properties.
Well, what this particular footage is right here, these are called controlled drainage devices. And this actually is like a gate valve that keeps the water from your field tiles in your field tiles. And field tiles are a great thing, by the way. They drain your land and you can get on them early and you don't have flooded areas. But on the other hand, in the summertime, we have plenty of rain this year, but usually in August we're praying for rain. And this keeps the moisture in your land and it keeps the nutrients. Now, if there's dissolved phosphorus in that nutrient, in that water, it keeps it on the land instead of puts it in the rivers, which the tributaries feed the Maumee or the Sandusky River, and that's what feeds into Lake Erie.
The pH, the big issue that everybody's been talking about, because that's what is leading to all of this algae, correct?
The phosphorus, yes.
Yes. The phosphorus.
Yes. And so whether the biggest change in agriculture, I feel, over the past 35 years has been an influx of field tiles. And the Ohio State University, along with some partners, are starting to monitor right at the edge of field runoff to see how much exact phosphorus is in some of these coming out of these field tiles.
The state of Ohio has dumped $2.5 million into plans like this, correct?
Like this, and cover crops and variable rate technology. If a certain part of your field doesn't need fertilizer, you don't put it on. And this is all GPS driven and it kicks back in if it's an area that needs it. There's a lot of good things going on, and like I say,
but are there those stubborn farmers out there who are just like, I've done it this way this many years, or is it the law, or is it just the state coming down and saying, we need you to do it like this now?
The state's coming down and saying, we need you to do this. And again, working with the farm organizations and the farm groups and the commodity groups, they're getting the big picture.
Yeah.
But again, the price of fertilizer, you just don't want it leaving your farm. And so the ag community is really stepping up. Now, 35 years ago, Jeff, we asked them to reduce phosphorus, and they did. We've asked them to go to no-till. They've done it. And so the ag community is, there's nobody out there. All of a sudden, in 2013, did everybody start putting more fertilizer on?
Yeah.
Did everybody start? No, this has taken quite some time. Nobody completely understands it. If they do, please let us know.
Right.
That's why I say there's so many dynamics going in it that this is not a real easy fix, but we know the phosphorus feeds it.
Yeah, and a state-run facility like the Maumee Bay State Park, obviously, and looking at tourism. Tourism is a big part of that property, and that's got to play into it as far as the drive, the desire to try to make all of these. And as you were saying, Scott, in our segment, in our break, you said there are so many organizations that are trying to come together, to work together. But this is, I hate to use Hillary Clinton as a model here, but the whole takes a village to try to improve the health of the lake.
It does, and that was what was important when we came on board when Governor Kasich appointed us back in 2011. The first thing we needed to do is pull all those partners together and get us on the same boat and then get the oars going all in the same direction. See, at all our federal partners, NOAA, which we've had direct interaction with, a lot of the other, NRCS folks, US EPA folks, get everybody so that we're having the same dialogue. And then at the state level, get all the state agencies playing together.
And on top of that 1.1 million, I'm sorry, sorry, the 2.5. There's another 1.1 that went in for this same purpose this year, correct?
Correct. And that was bringing in our university partners, because obviously they're all doing research. Who's coordinating all that research, and are they answering the questions that we need to answer as we make policy call?
But Jeff, the most important thing about Randy Gardner's money, this Senator Gardner is the one that pulled this together, and we really appreciate it. He wanted this money. We know it's phosphorus. Okay, we don't need to study that anymore.
Yeah.
Let's get work done. So we're working. These 40,000 acres. That was just within a little over a year that practices changed on 40,000 acres of land. That's what that money went toward, and more toward monitoring, more toward education. And you asked, what can you do?
Yeah.
You're not a farmer. Fertilizing your lawn, washing your car when it's going down. I mean, all those types of things all play into it. And so just by working together, testing, we're going to be doing more monitoring and educating, and then also actually getting practices on the field. And these field construction tile control valves are one thing that we really think is going to help cover crops.
The video that people saw was coming out of Defiance County, Defiance, Hancock, Putnam, Henry Wood, just along the Maumee watershed there is what we're talking about, is where a lot of that work is being done. Going forward, as you guys look at the health of the water, and is there any target? We've talked about farmers a lot, and I hate to just pick on agriculture as far as being the culprit, but you look at cities, you look at towns, Toledo, there are dumps along the mouth of the Maumee River going into the lake. I mean, how much, I guess, do cities lay blame? Does the city of Toledo lay blame for making the water polluted?
Actually, as I interviewed earlier, we look at it as three legs to the stool. Farming being one leg of the stool, our communities, cities and towns being a leg to the stool, and then businesses being the third leg. And it's going to take all three of us to solve it. Our cities and towns in the form of long-term control plans and addressing some of the unsewered areas, that's a big step forward. It's happening. Construction up and down the lakeshore now. Pick a little small town through there, Port Orchard or wherever. They're all working on this actively. And then back to Jim's point, Director Zeringer's point, what can we do? Look at what some of our people that fertilize their yards now are going to zero phosphorus fertilize. So you've got Scots that have stepped up to the plate, and now when you go down to the local store to purchase that, you're not buying the old traditional 12-12-12. You're buying something that is zero phosphorus, zero P. So that's something that we can all do, and it's all of us in this together.
But I guess let me go back to one of those legs of the stool. And when you talk about the city of Toledo, what is being put in place for the city of Toledo, or what is being told as we tell the farmers, here is your action plan? What is Toledo told as far as their action plan is concerned?
Actually, Toledo has spent $500 million just recently addressing some of these issues as they look to separate out their storm events with their traditional sanitary sewers. So as they keep addressing their long-term control plan, and a lot of it's tearing up streets and roads, and then you work through this very methodically, the construction of tunnels to be able to capture that flow, so then after the rain event, you feed it back into the headworks of your wastewater treatment plant. Upgrading your wastewater treatment plant. Toledo's been spending a lot of time doing upgrading to be able to handle the additional flows. Technology has changed.
And there's been a lot of talk as far as raising taxes to do that. I know that's been a bugaboo as far as politics is concerned here, but that is something in the bigger picture for folks who think that all of this work is being done to prevent flooding in neighborhoods, but it's also being done, you're saying, to try to help the health of our great resources.
Our gem, Lake Erie. Because when we have a rain event, back to a comment I made earlier, traditionally over a year, when you average all those, it's 6 billion gallons across the western basin of untreated sewage. We need to zero that out.
I lived up in the Traverse City area for a while, and I know Michigan does a fantastic job as far as tourism and touting its Great Lakes. Ohio doesn't seem to really pick out Lake Erie and say, come to Lake Erie. It doesn't have, the voiceover work being done saying, but do you think that can ever in our lifetime change?
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny because at Fish, Ohio a couple weeks ago, the governor said the same thing to the tourism folks there. We need to keep promoting this great lake of ours.
Right.
I think Yes, we will be able to do that. But I think if one of the lessons learned we learned from Grand Lake St. Mary's, and we have a long way to go with Grand Lake St. Mary's, believe me, but we quit finger pointing and started working. And so, yes, agriculture is surrounding the lake, but also there are combined sewer overflow issues. There's septic tanks, a lot of rural farm septic tanks, and maybe even some small communities yet that are not sewered. And so we quit pointing fingers. We just want to reduce phosphorus.
Yeah. Gentlemen,
that's what we need to do.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. I appreciate you taking the time, making the trip up here. Thank you so much. Stay right there. We'll close things for this Sunday right after this.